Hello everyone, welcome to English with Shalini, and in this video we are going to discuss summary of deep water. So deep water is an essay, and this essay is an excerpt from American jurist William Douglas book of Men and Mountains. So he has written a larger book called Of Men and Mountains, and this essay is from that book, and it is an autobiographical account of the author's experience with fear, how he has gone through fear in his life, and he has stated many adventures in that book. And here in deep water, a fear of water has taken root in Douglas during a visit to beach with his father, and when he was just a child of 3 or 4 years. And when he wanted to overcome this fear of water, after some years by learning swimming, he encountered another terrible incident which exposed him to near death experience. And he was very terrified. The chapter tells us how he did not let that fear overpower him and take hold away, held sway over him. And it is a journey. It is a journey of willpower and resolution that leads the author William Douglas towards a stage of life where he is no longer haunted by his fear of water, and he is perfectly fearless. So now we'll start the summary. The author William Douglas describes the journey of conquering his fear of water. He starts his account, his story, by narrating an unfortunate incident, a misadventure that taken place when he was 10 or 11 years old. And he had decided to learn swimming at YMCA swimming pool. He wanted to learn swimming because there was a Yakima river near his city, but he couldn't swim there in the Yakima river because he had learnt about the many accidental drownings there. And he informs the readers that he had an aversion to water. He had a great fear for water because of vast incidents that has taken place in his life when he was 3 or 4 year old only, and his father had taken him to California beach, and where he was knocked down brutally by waves, by the high rise waves, and he was buried in that water. And as a result, what happened? It created a fear of water in him. It created a hydrophobia in narrator. So, nevertheless, he went to the YMCA swimming pool to learn swimming with a newfound sense of confidence. Now he gathered his confidence and went to learn swimming. Now, writer started to paddling around in water with his water wings, and he was just 10 or 11 years old. And he tried copying the other boys how they were doing swimming and who had come to swim in the pool. So, one day he arrived at the pool to find himself early and alone. He found himself totally alone, and he was scared of going into water alone, and he waited for some other people to show up and come there. So in the meantime, what he was just uh, sitting in the edge of the pool, and he was sitting in the area where was the pool was 9 feet deep. So a big muscular boy like a Jian in that Doraemon, 18 years old, showed up, and he came to that pool, and he started bullying the narrator, and he tossed him into the pool. And he fell into the pool. That narrator fell in the pool in the sitting position only, and he swallowed a lot of water, and as a result he was drowning. He planned his coming back out of the water. He has just learned swimming for just 2 or 3 days, so he was not able to swim, and he imagined he would kick off the floor of the pool as soon as he hit it, and he will come out to the surface. But this didn't happen. When he finally felt the floor of the pool, the tiles of the floor pool, the author kicked hard and made a big jump to rise to the surface level of the pool. But his rise was not so rapid, it was not so fast as he had expected. So instead, his rise was slow and suffocating. He was suffocating, he was out of breath, and he was very much horrified. He tried to scream, he tried to yell, he wanted to take help from his mother, but he was not able to do anything. And but no sound come out of his mouth. Finally, when he could reach the surface and breathe, he drowned again. So he was struggling for survival, and he was exhausted because of that struggle. And he tried to fight it, but his legs did not move, his legs was paralyzed, and he started sinking towards the bottom of the pool again. So terror gripped him completely, and he screamed, but it was of no avail. It was of no use. He planned to jump off the floor of the pool and had barely reached the surface of the water when he started to sink again. So all the time he wanted to come to the surface, he was coming to the surface for some time, because in 2 or 3 days he learned some technique of throwing his legs and arms, but he was not able to come out completely. So he felt exhausted, and his lungs were in great exhausting position, and he felt exhausted from trying, and gradually went into a state of unconsciousness. The next thing he could remember was he was not able to remember anything at that time, because he felt unconscious afterward of the exhaustion. And he felt that people were talking about him, and the boy who threw him into the water claimed that he was just joking, he was just kidding around. And another person stated that why you did so, the boy was almost on his way to death. So they were chiding that boy, that bully boy. So after he went home, he was shaking with fear, and he found himself weak. He was emotionally shaken, he was physically shaken, so much that even the simplest of the exhaustion upset him. He found himself lacking up in confidence. He found himself totally insecure. So, a few years later, he realized that he was still seized by the terror of his past experience at the YMCA pool, and he wanted to overcome that fear. Whenever he went to the other water bodies, he was very terrified. So, he would find himself paralyzed by terror and unable to move his legs. So this haunting fear deprived him of the joy of swimming and boating in beautiful water bodies. Although he wanted to swim, although he wanted to do boating and fishing, but he was not able to do it at all. So he tried to eliminate this fear in various ways. He was trying hard, but it stayed with him. That fear haunted him. One October, what happened? 1 October, the author decided to learn swimming properly with the help of an instructor, a swimming instructor. So he hired a swimming instructor, and that instructor used a step by step process to carry out his task of how to teach him swimming perfectly. So the author was made to practice swimming across the swimming pool back and forth with a rope tied around him. So in a way, he felt confidence that I am not alone, I am with my instructor, and if anything happened to me, my instructor will save my life. So in this way, he gained some confidence, and he was able to learn swimming. The other end of it was managed by the instructor. So in a way, the instructor was keeping the rope, and after 3 months of practice, he was taught to breathe underwater. He was taught to exhale and inhale, the breathing techniques, and all the techniques of swimming. He was slowly overcoming his fear of water with this approach adopted by his instructor. So that instructor was very nice, and he taught him the techniques of swimming bit by bit, slowly, and not in a very fast way. And he also tried to encourage him, and come out of to get over his fear. So after going through another practice set of kicking the water with his leg while being held at the side of the pool, the instructor declared to the author that he was ready to swim. Now, after teaching him many techniques of swimming, finally that instructor declared that now you are expert in swimming, you can swim very well, so you must not fear. So although the author received official approval of his swimming abilities from an instructor, he was not fully convinced. He was not fully convinced that he is not fearful of water, and he was very conscious, and he tried swimming alone in swimming pool till July. So he observed other boys. He observed that he could still experience little pangs of fear. So he observed that although he learned swimming, he was not able to overcome his fear completely. And the memories of the past life, memories of the drowning, haunted him. He was unsatisfied with his improvement and swam 2 miles across Lake Wentworth. So he was trying many sea adventures in order to prove himself. So this time his fear returned once again, and when he put his face underwater in the middle of the lake, he found the dark water, and he found that this water is bottomless. So he still has his doubt, and so he went swimming in warm lake, and to his surprise he was able to swim there also. He swam across the lake to the other shore and back without any trouble. So he felt immense joy to discover that he was finally rid of his fear of water. So the author William Douglas cites this event of an important experience for him. It was a life-changing experience of him, and he describes it as a feeling that only people who have known severe fear and conquered it can understand. So, according to the author, no means not many people can understand his situation and his overcoming of that situation. Only few people can understand. And he quotes Roosevelt, that former president of USA, and Roosevelt was his friend also, and Douglas was his advisor also. So the now he quotes Roosevelt to explain that there is a peace in death, and the only thing we should fear in life is a fear itself. So fear is the fear of death itself. So conclusion of the deep water shows the result of showing courage in the face of fear, how we should be fearless and show courage. And we may have many causes for fear in life, but that should not decide what we are, especially when it is about the death. The fear of death itself might prevent us from experiencing so many wonderful things in life. We may be deprived of this wonderful things. William Douglas sets an examples of this through his biographical story of his experiences with the fear of water. Now he did not let the fear of water overpower him, and his strong resolution to eradicate this fear was successful after a long process of hard work and determination. So he was finally able to conquer his fear because of his willpower and determination. So where there is will, there is way. And now we will discuss some question answers. So, what is the theme of chapter Deep Water? Deep Water deals with the effects of fear in one's life and how self determination and willpower and hard work can help one overcome a fear of anything in life. Now, why does William Douglas quotes Roosevelt at the end of the chapter Deep Water? William Douglas quotes Roosevelt at the end of the chapter to illuminate, to enunciate the importance of facing fear and give example of importance of facing fears. So if one want to conquer his fear, One has to work with determination and perseverance to achieve this goal. One must not lose hope. Now, question 3. How did Douglas overcome his fear? William Douglas encountered an unfortunate incident when he was trying to learn swimming by himself in a swimming pool, and he then went to an swimming instructor, to learn how to swim properly. And after he was done, he went swimming alone in pools to check if he is still suffering from that fear, or he still suffered from any fear of water. So when he realized that there was still some residual fear left, he went for swimming in two different lakes, after which he confirmed that there was no fear of water in him anymore. So that was the chapter. Thank you so much for listening.